Yo, what is up, guys? It is Sports Fan One here, coming back with another video. In today's video, we're going to be recapping Week 1 of the NFL. It is officially in the books. Week 1 is done. Well, it certainly was an interesting week, to say the least. For one thing, I just want to say, glad football's back, man. I'm glad that football's back. Now, there were some of the games this week that went pretty much how we expected, and there were some that were some surprises out there. Starting with, if you saw my video where I predicted each game, I went 11-5. I think that's pretty good, you know. Now, if you're wondering what the 5 I got wrong, either you can go look at that video, or I'll just tell you right now. I got the Bengals game wrong. I picked the Bengals. You know, I didn't expect them to look that bad. I also got the Broncos wrong, because I picked the Broncos, I picked the Seahawks, I picked the Bears, and I picked the Giants. Safe to say that those picks didn't go how I expected, obviously. But still, 11-5 in my opinion is a good record to start out. We'll see what I do in week 2. But looking at the games, started off with that Bengals game. You know, it wasn't what we expected. Joe Burrow got that big contract, I think earlier in the week. And to be the highest paid player in the NFL or something like that. And then he comes out and plays like that. Now, I get that it was basically impossible throwing conditions. And Deshaun Watson didn't have a good game either. I mean, he basically had the same type of completion percentage as Burrow, if you really look at it. I mean, Burrow went 14 for 31. Deshaun went 16 for 29. Very similar lines there. He only went for 154, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But the story of that game was the Browns were able to run the ball better than the Bengals. That's basically what happened. I mean, the Bengals couldn't do anything. And it looked like that offensive line isn't that great either. Joe Burrow has yet to have a good offensive line in his career. So I'm not really putting it all on Joe Burrow. I'm really not. It was just one bad game, I think. I think the Bengals are going to be just fine. They always seem to start out slow. I mean, I think they started 0-2 last year, and we all know what they did last year. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about the Bengals. I think they're going to be just fine. I think it was just one bad game. Just happened to be unlucky with the weather conditions, and I think the Bengals could be just fine. The Browns, on the other hand, that defense looked good. The offense looked okay, especially in those conditions. The running game still looked good with Nick Chubb. If the Browns defense can stay like that the whole year, stay like a good unit, which I believe it's going to be, and Deshaun Watson can keep improving and, he did make some good throws on Sunday, but again, it was impossible throwing conditions. In better throwing conditions, can he be able to go for like 250 a game and 2 touchdowns? That's average, in my opinion, for an NFL quarterback nowadays. Go for 250 and 2 touchdowns in the air. In my opinion, that's average. Especially with today's football where it's more throwing than running. If he can do that, I think the Browns could be a sneaky good team this year. But they're in such a tough division. But we'll see. Time will tell. Going into the other games, I called the Buccaneers one. That was one of my upsets. Everybody was saying that the Vikings were going to win, but hey, Baker Mayfield, man, he's the GOAT. And he proved it why. He went into Minnesota and beat the powerful Vikings. No. No. But yeah, the Buccaneers looked, what's the right word? They looked decent. I'll say that. They look great, but they didn't look awful. They look like that they can compete, which is something I'm guessing Todd Bowles really wanted for, at the very least. Can they compete? And that looks like they can be. I mean, this is Baker Mayfield's, I'm not going to say last chance, but I think this is his prime opportunity. Because he's been a journeyman for the last year, 2 years. I mean, he went from the Browns in 2021, then he signed a 3-year deal with the Panthers. He didn't even make it through his first year when they released him. Then he signed with the Rams last season as well to finish off the year. Then now he's with the Buccaneers. He says he doesn't want to be a journeyman, but he has an opportunity here where if he can have a good season, and I'm not saying make the playoffs, but just the season to show them that, hey, once I build rapport with these guys, if you can give me a couple of pieces, I'm your guy. He could potentially be, I'm not saying the franchise quarterback for the Buccaneers, but a quarterback that could stay there for 4 or 5 years as a bridge quarterback that can, still make you compete, but while you'll still look for that quarterback for the future. Who knows? I mean, I think this is Baker's chance to prove that he can still be a quarterback in this league and that can lead a team to the playoffs and all that. I'm not saying that he has to do it this year with the Buccaneers, but he has to show them that he can be your guy. I think this is a good start. He didn't look overly great on Sunday, but again, he made the plays he needed to win the game. Granted, that defense played good too, got some takeaways from Kirk Cousins, but I still think that was a good game for the Buccaneers. Saints and Titans, that had to be one of the more boring games in today's slate. I mean, Ryan Tannehill threw 3 picks. I think Derek Carr threw 2. But, actually, let's find out. I know Ryan Tannehill threw 3. Yeah, Derek Carr threw 1. Derek Carr had the better game. But still, don't let the 300 yards distract you the fact that it was a field goal game up until the fourth quarter. Excuse me. And really, there was only one touchdown. That was by, obviously, the Saints. Yeah, that game was pretty boring. Good game for Chris Olave. Decent one for DeAndre Hopkins. But, yeah, that was a pretty boring game. This game was a pretty surprising game. I knew that the 49ers would win the game, but I didn't expect that. I didn't expect 30-7. I expected the Steelers to show more of a fight and basically be a more competitive game at home. Now, I'm not afraid. I'm not scared for the Steelers. I'm not ready to give up on them because I think Mike Tomlin will have them ready to go for the rest of the season. I don't think they're going to be losing 30-7 every game. I don't think that's going to happen a lot this year. But that's not also going to negate the fact that they looked awful. That defense still looked pretty solid, but that offense, everybody thought that offense was going to take a step up. It didn't. At least not for this game. Kenny Pickett had, a perfect passer rating in preseason? He looked good. They're like, oh yeah, there's excitement. And then he comes out and he doesn't look like the same Kenny Pickett that we saw in the preseason. I know it's preseason, but still. But again, I'm not worried for them. I think they're going to be just fine. I think Mike Tomlin is going to get them, again, ready to go for the rest of the year. I don't think... he finds a way. He always finds a way to get to 500 a little bit better. It's just what he does. So I'm not worried for them. It's one game. I think it was just an off day. But really, the Cardinals and Commanders game went basically how people expected. 2 mediocre teams going off against each other. Really didn't expect anything different. I think the Dolphins and Chargers played the game of the year. At least so far. Obviously it's only week 1, but that game was electric. That game was such a good game. Especially for Tua. Tua had a phenomenal game. 466 yards, 3 touchdowns. I know 1 pick, but damn, man, what a game. Not only for Tua, but for Tyreek. It looked like that Tua and Tyreek were just right on the same page. Also, up the fact that Tyreek is one of the fastest, if not the fastest guy in the league, and can create separation. But Tua had to make the accurate throw, and boy, he did. Tua looked flat out amazing on Sunday. No, Austin Eckler also had a good game, and Herbert didn't look horrible, but neither defense looked good on Sunday. But I think I think both defenses are going to be just fine. But I truly believe that Tua can be an elite quarterback in this league. I believe he can be. But the big question is, can he stay healthy? He's been dealing with some injury problems the past 2 years. But if he can stay healthy, I truly believe that he could be an elite quarterback in this league. I really do. I think he has the tools. I think he has the talent and the skills to do it. You know, it's funny because everybody's saying that, oh, the only reason why Tua had such a great game is because Tyreek Hill was always open. Well, yeah, that's a big part of it. I mean, Tyreek had 11 receptions for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it wasn't just because he was getting open. It was because he was getting open and Tua was throwing an accurate ball to him. I mean, these aren't just 5-yard throws that he's making and Tyreek's making in space. I mean, these were like 20, 30 yards down the field most of the time. And as a receiver, you're supposed to get open. And as a quarterback, you're supposed to hit the open man. I mean, but Tua was still making really good throws. He looked good. And that game proved what he can be if he can stay healthy. And he did that last season. I mean, even last season, I truly believe that if he didn't get hurt and he stayed healthy for the whole year, that Dolphins team, instead of going 9-8 and barely squeaking into the playoffs, would have been close to around that record of what the Bills had last year, which is, I believe, 13-4. Call me crazy, but I truly believe that would have happened because the Dolphins, again, just like in that one game, this week 1 against the Chargers, they were doing that. I'm not saying that Tua is going to throw for 400 yards every single game. That's just not going to happen. But that offense still looked like they were able to score the ball at will. That defense was playing good. But then when Tua went down, it was a different Dolphins team. But again, can he stay healthy? That's the big question. But he did look good. And again, everybody's saying that, yeah, it's not Tua. It's just Tyreek's getting open every play and, you know, and all that. But now here's the question I have. When Tyreek was on the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes was finding Tyreek Hill open just like he was with Tua, because Tyreek did the same thing basically with the Chiefs, everybody was saying, wow, what a good throwing ability Patrick Mahomes has. Man, he can get that out to Tyreek Hill with the best of them. Now, this is not me disrespecting Patrick Mahomes in one bit. I understand that Patrick Mahomes has a really good throwing ability. I mean, he's the best quarterback in the league right now. But the point I'm trying to make is, they're saying that it was Patrick Mahomes that made Tyreek Hill. But then when Tyreek Hill does the same thing in Miami, it's Tyreek Hill, not Tua. You got to give Tua credit, man. You really do. We really got to give Tua credit. He really looked good that game. But yeah, that, in my opinion, that was the game of the year. At least so far. Again, it's only week 1, but that has to be up there. Game of the year. I don't know what other games are going to... I mean, there are probably some good matchups out there to potentially be game of the year, but that's my pick right now. Eagles and Patriots. The Eagles gave the Patriots every opportunity to win that game, in my opinion. I mean, they went up 25-14, a 2-score game with about 5 minutes to go in the fourth. You would think that's, yep, the Patriots, they're done. The Eagles, they've put the dagger in the Patriots, up 2 scores with 5 minutes to go. I mean, that is really tough to do. Even with the best of them, they had to score quickly, get a stop, and score again. I mean, it looked all but impossible for the Patriots. But then the Patriots got a quick touchdown. They did. They got a touchdown with like 3.5 minutes to go. I mean, that's a quick touchdown. I mean, let's see if it shows how long that drive was. You know? Let's do play-by-play. Yeah, see, the Patriots, yeah, that play took 6 plays, just under 2 minutes, about 2 minutes. And then everyone's okay, they're back in the game, but it's still got to make a stop. But as you saw there, Jalen Hurts fumbled. Like what? The first 1 or 2 plays of that drive, and gave the Patriots really good field position. Now, obviously, that Patriots drive didn't go anywhere. They lost it on downs, but they still had 3 timeouts, the 2-minute warning, and they were able to get a stop. The Eagles went for it on 4th down instead of kicking it deep, and they didn't get it, which gave the Patriots another good field position to start out. And I'm not blaming Mac Jones on that final throw. He made a good throw. His receiver's got to get 2 feet in. And if I'm not mistaken, he's a rookie. And he did that twice in that quarter, I believe. That catch and the catch earlier, where he only dragged 1 foot. He didn't get that second foot down. That negated a big gain. And the second time, it negated a first down, which would have given a fresh set of downs, obviously. Instead, it's game over because it was on 4th down. Mac Jones, I think he had a really good game. Threw for over 300 yards, I think 3 touchdowns. He looked good. I mean, this is, I think, a make-or-break season for Mac Jones. If he doesn't show any improvement, I mean, he had a good rookie campaign, brought the Patriots to the playoffs, while being killed by the Bills, but he still brought them to the playoffs. And they said, oh, we may have found our new franchise guy. And then the second season, he looked awful. The famous sophomore slump. Okay, I guess I can understand that everybody goes through that. But now the question is, can he get back to that level of play? Now, I'm not saying go from worst to first, but can he show signs of improvement after last year? Can he show signs that, okay, that was a 1-year thing. I'm a good quarterback. I can still do this. This is his year, I think. And if he doesn't show it, if he has like a year like last year, he could be done in New England, and they could be looking for a new quarterback. But that one game against the runner-ups in the Super Bowl, he looked good. He really did. Really, if you negate the fact that they threw a pick 6 to Darius Slay, they would have won the game. Now, I understand that pick 6s happen, and you got to play through that. But it just seemed to me that the Eagles were giving the Patriots every opportunity to win that game. It looked like the Eagles were trying so hard to lose that game. That's what it seemed like to me. But still, the Patriots looked good. Just, they got to convert on those. And really, as a rookie receiver, I get that, in college, you're used to only having to get 1 foot down, but I'm not blaming the player per se as I'm blaming the coaching staff. I mean, I don't know if he's really a rookie, but I think he is. I think they're saying that he is a rookie, but the coaching staff in my opinion, has to be harping on rookie, whether it's running backs, tight ends, or receivers. I mean, these 3 guys sometimes have to do sideline catches. Maybe have a big old drill and ingrain the fact that this isn't college anymore. You got to get 2 feet, and you got to drag 2 feet on the sideline for it to count. Otherwise, it's not a catch. Now, that may seem like Captain Obvious to you guys, but he did that twice in that game, in the same quarter, in the 4th quarter, which negated 2 big plays. So that tells me he hasn't practiced that getting 2 feet in. Which, again, in my opinion, that falls on the coaching staff. I mean, it just seems like, common knowledge that you got to get 2 feet in. And I'm sure he knows that. But muscle memory is a big thing. And if he is used to only having to get 1 foot down, that's just him catching the ball muscle memory, just having to get that 1 foot in. He doesn't feel the need to have to get that second foot down because he's not used to doing that. And again, just like I was saying, that falls on the coaching staff. You got to do a bunch of drills to ingrain that into his body and his mind. Who knows? I think, I can't remember that receiver's name. Is it Borden? Uh, you know what? I'm sure we can figure out that guy's name. Yeah, Borden. Still had caught 2 touchdowns for 64 yards, but yeah, he's got to work on his tiptoe. I didn't mean to do that. He's got to work on his tiptoe swag. He really does. But oh, that's MLB. There we go. But hey, the Patriots looked solid. Just got to improve a couple of things, and we'll see what happens with Mac Jones. For the Broncos and Raiders, Broncos offense looked like they still can't score the ball. I know it's one game, but looked like basically like last year, can't score the ball, and defense looks really good. Just the offense doesn't look great either. Now, I'm not ready to give up on that offense because Sean Payton is a better coach than Nathaniel Hackett, but yeah. I think Russell Wilson is done. I think he's done. Again, I know it's 1 week. We'll see what happens through the course of the season, but if this is a telltale what's going to happen this year and it's like last year, I think Wilson's done. Being 34 already and going to be turning 35, I don't know when, but it's, obviously going to happen soon. Broncos, I think, need to start looking for a new quarterback. I think they already still need to, even if Russell Wilson has a good year overall, because again, he is approaching 35, and he's just not the same level of quarterback that he was in Seattle. And I've always thought he was also overrated too. That the times that he won a Super Bowl, those a few Super Bowls where he was carried by the defense and Marshawn Lynch. But that's just my opinion. Don't really want to get into that, but but I believe the most surprising game of the whole week isn't the 40-0 blowout from the Cowboys and Giants. It's the game above that. 30-13 Rams over the Seahawks. I say that because, going into this year, these two teams had different projections. Everybody was saying that the Seahawks, had a really good drive, which they did. I mean, Devin Witherspoon's a really talented cornerback, and Jackson Smith and Jigba is a really good receiver. Already added DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and Devin Witherspoon is gonna be that 1-2 with Tyreek Woolen on the defense. They got Bobby Wagner back. They're poised to have a really good defense, and hopefully that offense can stay the same. And they just signed Geno Smith to a 3-year deal. It looks like Geno Smith is a good quarterback now, and they have expectations of not only going to the playoffs, but fighting for that division with the 49ers. Then you look at the Rams, who Cooper Kupp is out for the first 4 weeks. He can't seem to stay healthy now after that phenomenal season. They lost Jalen Ramsey on the defensive side, and it looks like that the Rams team is going into, I don't necessarily know what they're going into. I'm not going to say a full-blown rebuild, because I know they just signed Stafford, who was 35, to a 4-year deal. I believe that's what it was. So it looks like they do want to try to compete per se, but they also got a lot of holes on that team. So they finally have a first-round pick going into this offseason. So do they tank this year, get a really good player in this next year's draft, and then try to, get a couple pieces in the offseason and then try to regroup for next year? Or do they try to compete this year? But I don't know if they have the team to do that. And there wasn't any high expectations for the Rams going into this year. I mean, everybody thought that, including me, that they were not going to win more than 5 games, maybe 6 games this year, but they're going to be more towards the bottom of the league. And but then they got in Seattle, on Sunday. And that offense looked good. That offense looked fluid. Stafford was hitting throws like he normally does. I mean, Stafford's a good quarterback, and he's accurate. He'll be able to fit the ball into places. But I mean, people like Puka Nacua, who everybody's like, who's this guy? I only know Puka Nacua because one of the YouTubers I watch, Daddy Dimu, plays Rams franchise, and he uses Puka Nacua. That's the only reason why I know who Puka Nacua is. And some of the guys on the defensive side, like, Kobe Durant and, guys like that. But they still have Aaron Donald on the defense, but in real life, other than Aaron Donald, they basically have a bunch of nobodies. And that's not being disrespectful. That's just, these guys aren't household names, unlike Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp. But that Rams defense still looked pretty good. They held that supposedly high-powered offense of the Seahawks to 13 points, and they scored 30. I mean, the Rams looked pretty good. Not saying that they're going to continue this for the whole season. I'm just saying they looked good, and that was a surprising game. That, hell, if the Rams can somehow manage to keep this up and play like this for the whole year, we might have a Cinderella story on our hands with the Rams, which is kind of weird to say because a Cinderella story means you have a team that hasn't been good for a while and they're finally a decent team and they're shocking a lot of people. But this Rams team is 2 years removed from winning a Super Bowl. Now we're talking about a Cinderella story with this team? Time will tell. But I don't know if I said this at the beginning of the video, but you gotta feel it for New York fans. Not just Giants fans, but also with Jets fans. I mean, you go on one side, you're a Giants fan, and you're looking forward to this year. You made the playoffs last year. You beat the Vikings in the playoffs. You made it to the divisional, where a year where you weren't even expected to be good last year, and they were. They made the playoffs, and that's all credit to Brian Daboll. And then the Giants fans going into this year, they said that we got better. We're poised to have another really good season. They were talking a lot of crap, a lot of smack. Well, you look at the score. Opening up on Sunday Night Football at home against division rival, the Dallas Cowboys. 40-0. The Giants, they seem to be outmatched, outgunned, out everything in that game. The Giants didn't do anything. I mean, they just didn't. That offensive line looks like they can't stop. They can't stop anything. I mean, in that offense, they can't seem to move the ball. I mean, they moved the ball a couple of times. They got in field goal range, missed one, got one blocked, one returned for a touchdown. But other than that, they couldn't move the ball. Every time that Daniel Jones dropped back the pass, it seemed like he was always under pressure. He was getting hit and getting sacked. I mean, that offensive line looked awful. I mean, it's like, what happened? This is not the same Giants team we were expecting going into this year. And I know Giants fans weren't expecting this either. But man, they were talking a lot of smack in the offseason. And did they get humbled quickly, I think. Now, it does look like that the Giants are going to take a step back this year. I know it's one game, and we really shouldn't be too... What's the word? We really shouldn't be overly confident in one way or the other. I don't know what word I'm trying to look for, but it's week 1. We still got 16 more games to go. Still hard to tell, where are the good teams, bad teams. And sometimes a bad team can have a good game, and sometimes a good team can have a bad game. But, I mean, you lose 40-0 in your home opener on prime time. I know it was raining, but it didn't seem to bother the Cowboys. And again, that offensive line just scares me. I mean, I'm telling you, every time the Daniel Jones dropped back to pass, it seemed like he was always under pressure, and that play was broken down immediately. How are they going to fare when they face the other good defensive lines? They have to face the 49ers. They do have to face the Cowboys again. They have to face the Eagles twice, and the Eagles do still have a pretty good damn defensive line. That's just to name a few. So when they play these teams, how are they going to fare? How are they going to fare? I think they're going to be taking a step back. I don't know if they're going to win more than 6 games this year. And then the next night, after that 40-0 rout, you got the other New York team playing, and those fans were excited because looks like they finally have their quarterback. That defense is still going to be really, really good. That's all they were missing was that quarterback. And now they finally got it. Now it's time to go win a Super Bowl. That is what was the mind of the Jets. Everybody was anticipating the start for Aaron Rodgers. And then he goes down in the first 4 plays of the game. Well, of his first drive. He doesn't return. He was limping. He was in a boot. Everybody doesn't know I don't know. Is this a... Yep, actually, this just in right here. Aaron Rodgers will miss the rest of the season after MRI confirms torn Achilles. Wow. Torn Achilles in the first 4 plays of the season. You got to feel it for Jets fans, man. You really do. Now they got to deal with Zach Wilson again. I mean, those Super Bowl aspirations just went away. Now it's, can Zach Wilson win a game? Now, I understand the Jets won last night. I understand that. But he still didn't look good. I mean, yeah, he made a couple of good plays. He got kind of bailed out with a really great catch from, Garrett Wilson. I mean, I still can't believe he caught that ball. And then a punt return in overtime. But can he sustain that? Can the Jets sustain that play? I mean, it looks like it's going to be like last season. The Jets are going to have to bail him out again and keep him in games. But can Zach Wilson take a step up? I mean, he was a 2nd overall pick in 2021's draft. Where's that guy? He had a really good last season with BYU. Had a pretty damn good combine and pro day. But he hasn't done anything in the NFL. He's still young enough to where he can be a franchise quarterback, but he's got to show it. And so far, he hasn't. Now, many people are saying that maybe this Aaron Rodgers thing is going to help Zach Wilson become a good quarterback. I think it can be. Even now, looks like Aaron Rodgers, he's done for the year. He's not going to play, which is kind of sucks for the Jets fans. But he can still coach Zach Wilson up. He probably showed Zach Wilson a couple of things in the offseason. Now it's time for Zach Wilson to show the Jets fans that even because we don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, at his age, approaching 40, this could potentially be career ending. I know he signed a 2-year deal with them, but at his age with a torn Achilles, he's not 29 anymore. He's 39, approaching 40. You don't heal as fast. Who knows? But this could be career ending, but we don't know. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to go out like that. So chances are he is going to come back next year. And he's probably going to play his final season next year with the Jets because he signed a 2-year deal. But this is Zach Wilson's opportunity. And I believe his last opportunity to prove to Jets fans and to the Jets organization that he could be your franchise guy after Aaron Rodgers is gone. Because outside of Zach Wilson, they have a win-now roster. Breece Hall, looks like he didn't lose. He picked up right where he left off from last season. Now, yes, it wasn't a great game for Dalvin Cook, but I think that running back duo will still be a really good duo. Garrett Wilson looks like a dog. Allen Lazard looks like he's a pretty good pickup. That defense still looks pretty damn good. I mean, forced 4 turnovers on Josh Allen. So, can they get a... And I'm not saying that Zach Wilson has to, win MVP this year. But, I mean, what was he averaging last year? Like, what, below 200 yards a game? And, I mean, there were some games where he threw for over 300, and one of them was against my Lions. But he needs to be able to... Let's see, what season can I... If he can have a season like Daniel Jones last year, not this year, because this year looks going to be like he's going to look like he's awful. But Daniel Jones actually looked pretty good last year. He didn't look like an MVP. He didn't look elite. But he looked okay. If Zach Wilson can have that type of season at the very least, I think the Jets are still going to win win a lot of games. And that will also, I think, prove to the Jets fans and Jets organization that he can be your guy, that he's improving, and that he can, But again, this is Zach Wilson's, my opinion, last chance. This is his last opportunity. Because if he goes out there and plays like he did last year, I think that the Jets may even bench him and just start their other quarterback. I don't know who their quarterback is, and say, okay, well, we're not going to do anything this year. Well, they might even tank for, a first pick and then go out there and draft Caleb Williams or another good quarterback in this draft class, sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year. Because, again, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back next year because I don't think he wants to go out the way he did. I don't think he wants to go out on a torn Achilles unless he physically has to. But sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, and then he takes over. And then Zach Wilson's going to be a career backup. But again, time will tell. But you do got to feel it for Jets fans. And maybe even Giants fans. Because these were not a good couple of days for New York fans. I mean, yeah, you do got to feel it, man. But overall, I am happy that football is back. It's going to be an interesting year. I think that we do gotta, not overreact about the Steelers' loss and the Bengals' loss, and I think that Mike Tomlin is going to have that Steelers team more prepared going into the rest of the season, and I also am not worried about the Bengals. I think that offense is going to be just fine. Just that offensive line needs to play a little bit better. But last thing I'm going to say is, how about those Lions, man? I know it's last Thursday, but we beat the freaking Chiefs on the road. I still don't want to hear that they were without Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. Hell, Chris Jones has ended his holdout on a 1-year deal. I mean, he was talking all like, I'm willing to wait till week 8, and, I want to get that money. I want to get that multi-year deal. And they forced the Chiefs' hand to basically give in to Chris Jones. Not a multi-year deal, but gave him probably more money than they were wanting to just to get Chris Jones back out there. Because while the Chiefs' defense still looked pretty good against us, they weren't getting a lot of pressure on Jared Goff. They got, 1 sack? That was it. There was not a lot of hurries, not a lot of pressures. They needed that pass rush after that game against the Lions. I have a feeling the Lions put a hand in that contract. Obviously, they're going to get Travis Kelce back, but still, we're 1-0. We're going to be playing against the Seahawks in our home opener, and I can tell you that Ford Field is going to be rocking. I think that Ford Field could potentially be the loudest stadium in the National Football League this year, which it might actually beat out the Chiefs. Which is crazy to say, but I just think there's such a level of excitement with this team, and as a fan, I can feel it. I know that the rest of our fans do too. Something seems different about this Lions team, man. Everybody still wants, and there's still some people that say, yeah, the Lions are still not going to do anything. It's still the Vikings division, or, the Packers are going to win it this year, or, the Lions are not going to do anything. Okay? All I can say is, let's see what happens when we come to January. Let's see what happens when we come to January. But I'm looking forward to week 2. I'll give my not record predictions, but I'll give my game-to-game predictions like I did in week 1 coming out tomorrow. And hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Interesting week 1. Gotta feel bad for New York fans. Praying for a speedy recovery for Aaron Rodgers. See you on the next one. Peace out.